So I'm going to try this model again, same model, but I've changed the speed for non-print moves to 200 here and here. 130 is what slicer recommend. I've also just measured the filament and it's only about 1.7, so change that. I'm putting the heat bed on, so 55 for the first, 50 for the other layers. So that's another change. Extruder, the retraction speed I've changed to 45. So I've turned that down quite a bit there. The recommended, well, sort of built-in default is 40. I thought I might have it almost too fast and it might be skipping a bit on the retraction. Don't know. There was another setting, offset, yeah. I had this set to 1, so that's not ideal. I don't think to have it in here set to 1. It's best to probably have it set to 0 in slicer. That's the basic, and I've already sliced this. Okay, so I'll have to also change the 0 setting by 1 as well. I'll do that outside this video. Okay. Now you might see there's almost like a gungy mess around here. This is actually a piece of cardboard which I've a lot of hot glue on the back end, and there's some LEDs. There's 8 LEDs altogether, but there's sort of 4 in parallel, because each LED is about 3 volts, near enough. So 3 4s is 12, that's 12 volts, 4 in parallel with another 4 in parallel. So that's giving me 12 volts from the power supply, and as soon as I plug it in it will come on. So I'm plugging it in now. See. Let me turn these other lights off. So that's just that one. Well, the LEDs that are on here. I'm hoping that will resolve some of the shadows that I get off my other lights a bit. I do have lights on the side of this printer. Put them on. I wouldn't call them absolutely bright. Well, not for camera work anyway. I doubt you might just see the edge of the lights there. There's some along the top up here. Top edge. And likewise some on this other side. So there's about 3 rows of LEDs going up that side. There's 2 lots of rows along the top, and there's 3 lots of rows on this side that's near me. Now these have been on for quite a while, so that's not like a major improvement. So there's the, so I'll just turn this other side lights off. So that's the light off this thing I covered up. Just a piece of cardboard basically, LEDs soldered in series, 4 in series, and 2 lots of those 4 to make 8 LEDs altogether spread around the edge of this cardboard here. Okay, that's one of my other camera lights. Put the other lights on. Don't know if I raise it up, you'll probably see them better. I'll raise up the nozzle quite high and we'll have a look. So you can see some of the LEDs on that piece of cardboard there. So as I say, I've got 3 rows of these LEDs. Sorry about that, strips. There's a big light here. There's some LEDs on the actual camera, lights up on the top edge, LEDs on this other edge strips, and now these new lights here. So I'm hoping that all this lighting will sort out any shadows I've been getting. We'll have to see. Right, I'm just going to extrude about 50 mil because I did have problems with this feeder I have. Well, you can't probably do this round here. Junk, absolute rubbish. So I pulled the filament out and there was a chunk took out of it, and now I've refed it, and obviously I want to test that it is going to work. Got the temperature set to 185. Bit thin there at the start, but give it another 50 mil. This is to make sure that the feeder is gripping, because really there's not much grip on this feeder I've got. It's just like a piece of metal pushing against the filament that pushes against the hub bolt. You can get that off. That seems okay. Right, I'm going to go into actually, oops, has that camera moved down there? Sorry, I think the camera moved down there. Didn't have it locked off, so I'll extrude another 50, won't harm much. Yes, I have done calibrations on the sort of distances. I need to go back in and recheck them actually, I think. Notice obviously that is a lot longer than 50 mil, but then it's 50 mil going into the unit there, the feeder. And obviously because it's going through, in this case, a 0.4 nozzle, it's going to be stretched to a certain extent. Okay, right, I'm going to load in a file and then I'll ask it to start printing. I'll wait until it starts printing again. Now I'm expecting this to maybe even crash into the bed, so I'm going to have to be very careful here once it starts printing, because I have took out that one setting in slicer there. So as I say, I've set the heat bed, so that's set to 55 there at the moment, and that's increasing. It's already at 185 for the hot end, but that needs to readjust to 200. So that's the sort of first thing it's going to do, warm up this. Yeah, that's getting warm. So it's on 45 at the moment. I'm going to leave it going a bit, keep on videoing it, because I expect it to like home first of all. That's getting quite hot, that bed now. It does say bed heating on the display. .53, so a little bit longer. And there we go with the music. That's just to tell me to raise this probe, automatic probe thing I have. I do that manually at the moment, and I do get a message also on the display to tell me to do that. So I'm going to skip this out because this goes on quite a while, all this music. I'll come back if I hit any problems or when it starts to print. It's just starting the auto leveling routine now. So I've moved this down. As I said, I've got the messages on the display and the G code to pop up and tell me what to do, play some music while it's waiting for me to move it down. And Now it's going through the auto leveling routine. So there's one more to go after this one. And the music in a way gives me a chance to raise this out the way manually. Probably one day I'll get that on a servo if it keeps on working okay. As I say, the display also messages me to raise it. Don't know what that humming is. Stop there. And now it's going to go into print. Now this is where I have to watch it like a hawk. This nozzle that doesn't bang into the thing, because I have changed the setting in slicer for the zero height. So this is either going to be 1 mil too low or 1 mil too high, I think. Yep, that's actually, sorry about that. Sorry. Let me put this light on. Turn this on. Disconnect, because that's the best way I can do it. Reconnect. So it's catching the blue painter's tape there, so it is definitely too low. When I turn the power off, it's all on a multi-pin plug thing, so everything just about goes off there. So if the camera went to lolly, panic, but also I don't think I had it locked off on a pan tilt, and if I don't do that, it does muck it up. So I'm going to go into my settings on here and change the Z height. Let me turn this other light off, because otherwise you can't really see this. So go there, control, motion, Z offset, see it's -7.8, and I want to turn that down. Sometimes it's hard to know which way to turn this. To 7.8. So hopefully that will allow for that, like one I took off slicer. Click on there, click on control, go to store memory to make sure that gets stored. I'll just go back to control, motion, just so I can check it. So now it's -6.78. Okay, and I'm basically going to do is what I've just done. I'll just come back when it's about to start printing to see how it's torn the blue painter's tape. Be careful, because this bed is still warm here. Because it's a bit low. Okay. Right. I won't bother showing you all that rigmarole. I'll just come back when it's about to start printing there. Right, it's about to start going into this printing routine. Yep, just come down now. This is where I have to watch it. Make sure it doesn't bang into that bed, it doesn't go too low. But hopefully now I've changed that Z probe height setting. Yes, I think that's okay. And there we go, it's starting to print. Actually, I might want to raise that Z probe just that touch more. This bed is now warm, so I have to remember that it is pretty hot. So I think those LEDs do help. Well, it does when I'm looking at them. I don't know about in the camera. Yeah, probably do. Probably see the reflections of them on the aluminium there. Now before the filament stopped feeding and I had to stop, so I'm going to have to watch this every so often. Well, I'm not going to keep the video going, I'm just going to stop the video in a few more seconds. As long as that's layering alright, I think it is. Try and give you a bit different angle. One thing I want to watch is the retraction actually on the feeder. That is something I'm not too pleased about. That has been doing an awful lot of stringing between this one big cog here and another smaller sort of pinion cog. This is for feeding mechanism, herringbone design, so it's only doing the wrap now. And the bed is saying 55 degrees, the nozzle is 200. So while it's doing the wrap, this is the bed over this side, that's sort of the target temperature on the top, and the actual sort of temperature it's reading at the bottom. Likewise on the left, that's for a nozzle. You will get more than one nozzle showing up there if you are using more than one nozzle, or you should do. So it's 55 there and 200. That's just for the first sort of layers. Seems to be squishing, as some people call it, quite well. That is, we want the bead of filament to go not too flat, not too loose. It might be a tad too much. We'll have to see how easy it is to remove this when it's finished, if it ever finishes, if we don't have any more filament jams and filament getting torn out in the filament feeder, and who knows what's going to happen. Right, I'm just going to turn the camera off just now. Well, no, I'll show you the filament feeder in this video, because people might not have seen it, might not have seen the other videos. So this is the feeding mechanism. It's a bit like a Protomaker or something. Now, that's something I want to watch, is like when it goes in reverse. Basically all I've got is this is like, I put this plastic layer nut on here myself, and it's just a bolt pressing, in this case on a piece of small aluminium that pushes against the filament, that pushes against the hub bolt. So there's no real bearing to turn in there on the filament. There's a couple of ball bearing sort of races for the hub bolt, and that's all there is. So I'm hoping to get a new feeder in a few weeks, presumably. And I also might move this feeder well, when I get it more to the centre, because the way it is at the moment, the boarding tube is possibly a bit long, and I don't think that helps with retractions. So I'll let you watch this for a short while. Speeded up now, hasn't it? Well, it's on 190 on the nozzle, and 50 degrees is the target temperature on the bed. The bed is still a bit above that. It takes a bit of time to cool down the bed. See, the bed is on 53 now. Hopefully you can see that. Target temperature is set to 50. It's got to cool down a bit. 190 on the nozzle now as we're going on to the next layers. I love the way this Z thing adjusts for any offset in the bed. I should say tramming, as people should call it probably, because we're not actually leveling the bed. The nozzle is actually going up and down a slight bit as it's moving side to side or forwards and backwards to allow for any offset in the bed not being level. So that's basically the auto leveling routine. That's the reason for this extra switch here, manual at the moment. I did try a capacitor sort of probe on here, but I found that, well, I mean, I did have a different material on top of here, but I found that it was giving a different reading on the right as to the left. For some, I couldn't figure it out, and when it was getting near zero also, that it was like not getting a proper signal. Anyway, I'll turn the camera off now and we'll come back in about a quarter of an hour, I think. Now let's stop feeding again. Let's see a pull clamp on here just to grip the filament, and if it was feeding that would be going up. Obviously it's turning, so it's this feeding mechanism. It's terrible. Okay, let's have a look at that. It's been about a quarter of an hour. Right. Obviously I might as well stop it. Put some light on it. More light that is. So as you can see, you can see the gap there below the nozzle, and where it gives me a good chance to like test this lighting rig. That's all it is basically a piece of cardboard there, LEDs stuck in 4 in a row series, 2 rows of 4. 4 times 3 is 12 volts basically, so each row is 12 volts, but they're put in parallel, simply enough. I think these are straw hat LEDs. A bit loose that. I might try to do something with that. Anyway, I might as well pack this pin in. You can see it's, you know, just terrible because of this feeding thing unit I've got. bed's pretty warm. I've asked it to go up here just to use a bit of space so have a look at it. And this is, I mean, talking about feeding, these are basically cogs for feeding, going on a feeder unit. I'm going to call it a feeder because that's what does it, feeds the plastic up the board and tube and into the hot end where it is extruded. So the hot end is an extruder, although quite often you'll find people will interchange the term feeding and extruding and such like. There we are. I mean, I have took like a little bit off the top. I can grab these bits. Now, actually I want to wait a bit for the bed to cool down. It's 45 at the moment, according by the display on the and then I'm going to try and get this off after a couple of minutes. Well, it's going to take probably quarter an hour for the bed to cool down. So the bed temperature is at 35, target is set to 0, but it'll go to ambient temperature. And it is just lukewarm. I've just sort of touched it there. Just sort of what we would call lukewarm. So I want to see how easy it is to get this off here. Let's try. Can I get mine? Yeah, just about. I think that. Oh no, yeah, that's coming off, as you see. So that's a sort of brim. Yeah. Let me get my scraper. Now this, I've actually sharpened this with a file. Don't want to tear the painter's tape. Can't really get under. Yeah, that has torn some of the painter's tape. Be careful, I'm trying to get my fingernail under there. And I can get the edge of the scraper just under that back edge round that other side. Slicking some of the painter's tape round there. Just seen it as well. So, yep, and it's torn the painter's tape. So that is a bit low. For me, it seems to make the painter's tape very sticky where it's been printing. Extremely, well, not extremely so, but a lot more when it's sticking on the surface. That is. So even after you've took the part off, I might be able to even show you this. See there, I'm pulling there, that first part came up quite easy, but when it reaches plastic part here, it seemed like it took a lot more to peel this painter's tape off. So it seems like the heat from the part, or the pressure or something, is definitely having an impact on the adhesive. But to say the heat, this has been heated, this bed, to I think it was 55 if I remember right. Look at back at the beginning of the video to remind ourselves about that. So I think I'm going to like raise the nozzle even a bit more than it is at the moment. It's, in my case, it's set to minus 6.78. Okay, and there's nothing much I can really do now until get this feeding mechanism sorted out. I don't think. I might sort of do a bit more like tidying this up a little bit, while making it a bit more stable. This, or I'll kind of take that off and show you this actually if I'm careful. So that's all it is, piece of cardboard like this, some LEDs around the outside edge, and that's it really. The cutout there is for the wires, for the temperature and the hot end, etc, etc. So that's just going to 12 volts. A few grams there, but put an awful lot of this hot glue on just to insulate the backs of the LEDs from touching any metal on here, that is. Okay, I'll put that back later, and I'll finish off there now.